So the next piece I want to show you is creating these bolts, which the ones I did in class didn't quite turn out how much I like them. You can't. They're a little bit too. Let me focus in on it here. They're a little bit too poofy. I don't like I didn't have enough time to bevel enough edges to get the hard edges in there. But you can see it's got really great geometry in it, except where I did quick beveling instead of correct beveling. Um, but it's got proper geometry and it kind of looks rounded, but it did not start with a um, sphere, because you will remember from a long, long time ago, the spheres end up not only with triangles over here, but really just everything from like the first 4 or 5 rotations around this is not great from a polygon perspective. And trying to fix this is a nightmare. And we're not needing this to be a perfect sphere anyways, which is nice. So I'm going to create a cube. Surprise, surprise. And I'm going to go to my attribute editor where it says polycube 4. Hopefully I'll call this... Oh no, wait, that's the wrong thing. I want to name this the bolt. This is where the name of the actual object is. This is just a node. And I am going to say, we're going to make it bigger in a second, but I'm going to say, let's see, I think it was 4, 4, and 4. And we're going to see how that looks. And I was incorrect. I need odd numbers. I need odd numbers because if I want the Phillips head in the middle. So if you want to be able to select that sort of cross area right there, or even just a single to do like a regular screwdriver, either way you would need more centered stuff. I'm going to leave the height as an even number, because I believe that's what we did in class, and also because it means you can cut it in half pretty easily. Let me take a look at what I did here. Yep, that is exactly what we did. So we have this, and I know this is kind of not cheating, but it's the thing I'm always telling you not to do. We're gonna just kind of blow it up. You can always freeze transformations on something later, and this is about to get way smaller. I'm not going to move it to above the grid, tempting though that is. I'm going to leave it there, and I'm going to go into vertex mode. And I'm going to drag select so that I make sure I have every single vertex. And that's why I kind of like to have the manipulator in there, so I can like look around and make sure it's not off to the side. And the trick is we're going to average the vertices so that they get closer and closer together, because it averages the space between them so that they're not so unevenly far apart, which is going to have the effect of rounding this, but we have to do it several times, which shrinks it each time. So we go to Edit Mesh, Average Vertices, and you do it once and you're like, oh, that kind of got a little bit round. Hit G on your keyboard, do it a few more times. Eventually it'll hit a point where it ain't going any rounder. And if you were to look at the vertexes, it is relatively round looking. But then you go into object mode and you see these corners. This is a matter of surface direction. This is not necessarily a matter of where these things are. There probably is... I mean, if we just look at this angle is no different. And yet it looks tremendously different on here. So surface direction, or normals, is basically the direction the surface considers itself to be going in for the purposes of lighting, among other things. And I can go to Display, Polygon, Face Normals, and come up with this. That's the direction they're going in. Or at least vaguely, generally the direction. It's not, there's a lot more nuance to it than what you're seeing here, but what we know is that it's not going inside. If I reverse this, remember we were having things where we couldn't see the surface? And it's because the surface isn't here. So we're going to unreverse that again. There we go. So we need a way to tell this, to have the normals not be so crazy, to not have them be so severe. Because we took something that did have severe normals on purpose, same as this cube here. That's why there's different lighting here and here. And tell it, like, calm down. And so we go to mesh display. This whole section is about normals. And one of the ones we can say is, I'm going to say average and see what that does. Ha. Now this does mean things look a little bit softer later on when we try to get certain harder edges, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. You fix one problem, then you fix the other. So now I'm going to kind of line myself up here, or if you really want to, you can go into an orthographic view. Remember, if we want to get rid of something, we go into face mode, drag select the bottom faces, hit delete. Now a note on that. You only need to select a tiny, tiny portion of a face to select the whole thing. So I see a lot of people trying to get really close to the edge, and then like when they accidentally like select this other part here, you don't have to do that. You only have to get this far up and you will get these faces, and you hit delete. You take a close look before you go on. You make sure it did what you want it to. Yes, it did. Next step. Rest of this is using tools that we have used before. If I want that sort of outside part, I need to extrude. I need to create more geometry. Right? If we look at where are they? There we go. This. It can be tempting to look at this and think, like, it started here and then it came out this way and it came down this way, but that's actually not the case. We took these faces, extruded them out away from the main thing, which created this top face right here, and then we used beveling to add the rest. And I'm using F on my keyboard to refocus my camera every time I switch back and forth between these crazy places. So I am going to go into face mode, and oh, those faces are already selected. I'm grab my modeling toolkit. And with these faces selected, I'm going to hit extrude. And I'm not going to touch anything yet. I'm just going to spin around this and show you. I don't need this over here. Go away. This manipulator. This is very different from the regular manipulators. Just a reminder, if you were to try and use one of these when you've extruded out, you get some crazy, crazy, crazy things. Maybe the scale will work a little, kind of. But see how this gets taller? So even that doesn't work a little bit. So I'm going to undo. I'm going to undo, poly, extrude. I need to make sure that this is what happens when I scale it. I'm going to hit extrude again, and it brings me to this tool. And you can see there's scale buttons and move buttons. Counterintuitively, you're actually going to use the move button, the one that's facing out from the surface. It's blue in my case. I click that, and you're going to see it's going to drag those faces away from the surface, away from the pre-existing surface. Oh crap, I didn't undo enough. I'm looking at this and I can tell that there's a problem. So, one more time. I'm going to double check. I didn't like how that worked out. There we go. Okay. Face mode. Select faces. Extrude. There we go. Gives you a little bit of a lip underneath. Bring this out here. Not too much. And now we can move to another tool. And I can go into the edge tool. And I can tell this to bevel. The inside, I'm going to maybe leave the camphor off. Also going to use a couple of them. But this can help to kind of give a more solid edge to this, especially if we smooth it. We can do the same thing here. We can bevel this edge, but I'm going to have 4 segments. And I'm going to leave the camphor on and make the fraction a little bit bigger. No, not that much. Remember, this is a mechanical thing, so I don't need it to be too smooth. There we go. These are being a little funny. I may not have averaged this enough because I can see these right here. They're poking out a little bit. These 4 that are at the corners. And you can see it in the lighting. I have non-planar polygons, so I'm scaling them in a little to see if I can kind of like fix that. I'm basically scaling them in towards each other. It's not ideal. This is the kind of thing where honestly, if I was making it, I'd probably just go back and change it. I'd probably just start from scratch. But the last step was making the inside part, and different people were doing this differently. I was doing a Phillips head version, which is you click this, and you hit extrude, and you drive it down like this. There we have it. And you can kind of choose how deep you want that to go. Object mode kind of, and you can see it's very, very soft. So you would need to go in and probably bevel a whole bunch of edges, which would probably take some time to figure out. So I'm just going to do that little tiny bit right there. I didn't select enough of them. I didn't select them properly, and so there's going to be a whole lot of nonsense in there. But you can see how sharp that got compared to this. You can't even see this. This technically is there. You can't see it. You can see this. And because I selected these going across here, it continued the information. Here it didn't, because I didn't select that edge. I was lazy. I didn't want to make you all wait for me to select everything. So you can select multiple edges, bevel them all at the same time, get a decent result. I probably should not have used quite so many. I should have brought that down from 3 to 2. This was unnecessary. We don't want to have too much information. That gets a little bit crazy. But what it does mean is that even if you... no, I need more. See, the problem is there needs to be ones cutting across here and here. And honestly, I don't think I would smooth this anyways, necessarily. Alright, so using extrude and bevel edges and occasional insert edge loop tool, if you would like to get the stuff in properly, and also using that trick of selecting all the vertexes and hitting average it's under here, edit mesh, average vertices. And you can see here it's still got a little bit of a corners, but I did a little bit better job of rounding it in class. So it's kind of thing where you have to pay attention to it and make sure it does what you want it to before you move on. Now, piecing this together. I actually made this huge. Doesn't need to be that huge, so we're going to scale it down a little bit. And we can use our top view to move this in place. Scale it down some more. And then you'll notice I need to go into this view, or this view. I'm using my orthographic views. Use your orthographic views to your advantage. It's why they exist. Because trying to line this up in a 3D view, no. Don't even, why are you making yourself miserable? You can go, use your space bar to navigate between these. There we are. Kind of looks like it's on there. It won't entirely look like it's on there. There is some shading and rendering stuff that is done in instances like these to really place them there. We're obviously not doing that yet. But what I can do is, again, in the top view, I can say Control D, and I can move this over here. Now, technically speaking, there are tools in here to help align things, but they're not like your Photoshop, Illustrator align tools where everything is just like click a button. It requires measuring stuff, and we're not here for that. So just eyeball it, get it close, and you can select two at the same time and hit Control D and duplicate them to put it down here, and then duplicate those two to move down here. So you don't have to, when I made this, I did not place each of those individually. No. That's crazy. What I did was I placed these, and this first board is the most important. If you get this right, then the rest will work. Because what we're going to do is, harkening back to week 1, we're going to select all of them and hit group. And say, full plank, whatever we're calling it. And I'm going to modify center pivot so that the pivot's somewhere helpful. And then I can duplicate, hit up on the keyboard when you select one piece to get all the pieces. I can select this, hit Control D, and I can again go back to my top view. Control Control-D, and both the one I did in class and the one I'm very quickly doing here, I eyeballed everything. I didn't measure that. I just kind of looked at it and said, this is about the right distance away. Control-D. Alright, now, here's the trick. Not a trick, but just something to watch out for. I made all the ones across here. How do we get the ones going underneath? Well, I mean, easily, we can just select the one plank and duplicate it and move it down a little bit until it's directly underneath. And then we can rotate it along the y-axis 90 degrees. And then move it into place. And then probably shorten it because it needs to be a different size. So I can definitely do that here. I can scale tool, I can kind of scale this down. Which again, we've been avoiding doing this, but for something like this, it's just what makes sense. I'd rather see you just get used to the 3D space. There we are. And I did this. There we go. Now, before I duplicate this to get the other two pieces, I would like to point out that if we go to our Windows General Editor hierarchy, yes, hierarchy, pops up over on my other thing. The thing I have selected is over here. I called this full plank. I named them on this one. And see how there's this extra one? Normally it's just P cube and then bolts. Let's see this one. So I need to middle mouse drag it out because I duplicated something that was already part of a group, so it made it part of that group. And I don't want it to be part of that group because what if I wanted to take this whole group and move it? I don't want this to get selected. Once I take it out of the group, then I can duplicate it, bring a piece over here, and now I realize my screws are not in a great spot. That's okay. And bring this over here. So I didn't quite think this out as well as I did the last time. That's okay. And if you want to get really fancy, you can take the whole thing and group it together. Pallette 2 or something. But what I want you to focus on, besides just modeling the two pieces, is also the time spent kind of putting this together. And being careful in using your orthographic views, and nothing happened, there we go. And I didn't do the best job, so that's floating a little bit. Which you can't really tell in here. There we go. That's looking like it's pretty close to being on there. Right? So this is a lot about just working with multiple assets. They're all very simple, but we want to kind of keep them organized, keep our file organized. Do a better job of naming things than I did, please. This is bad. I named the bolt. I didn't name the plank. I named the full... Oops. Hitting up is going all the way to the top of the hierarchy. Oh, no. I grouped it together wrong. Learn from my mistakes. I did not select the groups properly, so I selected all the items and put them under a group, which ignored the actual groups. So I should have... Let me undo to the point where this is no longer broke. There we go. I should not have just drag selected everything. Shame on me. I should have... I can shift select everything in here and hit Control G, and that is what it should look like. Yay. So when I select one of these, I hit up, I get one plank, I hit up again, I get the whole thing. Oh, I forgot to include these. That's okay, that's an easy fix. Windows General Editor hierarchy. Again, I should have named them, but if I click here, it highlights them there. So I can shift select all of those and middle mouse drag them under this group 1. And that means now the whole thing is grouped together. Alright, so be careful how you select things in here. Once you start getting hierarchies of groups,